Help support the companies that support our community. I ran to Home Depot and picked up a 3/4 inch piece of finished plywood for this jig. So it was 24 inches wide, was perfect for my lathe. So I just marked out center on it and then drew a circle around it and cut it out on the bandsaw. So the camera quit working, sorry. The screws I had were a little bit long, so I just made a little spacer disc out of maple and I glued that on and then put the screws all the way through it. And this little centering jig, it goes right in your face plate, and then if you have a center hole, that little pin drops right down in it, and it's perfect for lining everything up for projects like this. I'm going to use my little carving stand. You don't have to use this. You can figure out a way to do it like on a table saw, but you need to stack some material up so you can router through this thing. I'm just going to do it on this because it's easy, and I just ran a little carriage bolt through the center there. I think they're 1/4 inch. It doesn't really matter on the length on it. It's just going to be used to run the center point for my router. So I made this little circle cutting jig for my router. It'll lock right in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put grooves in this whole thing. So I space these out 1 inch apart. So I'm gonna trace them out first though, because I can't run the groove around the whole thing or it will fall off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and run a groove around, but I'm only gonna do it halfway. So I'm gonna leave solid wood here and say solid wood here. So, and then I'm going to turn it a little bit and move up to the next hole, leave solid wood here and solid wood here, and then groove out this part right here. And I'll move it and it'll be grooved out here. So it's not just one solid piece down here and there's grooves on this side or that side. I finished marking all the lines on it before I got started with my router. The little jig I made for the router is just 1/4 inch plywood. I took the plate off my router, laid it down there, marked the screw holes in it, and then cut that thing out. And it was really easy to do. It took about 15-20 minutes, and it worked great for this. All right, I ran to the home store and got some of the galvanized strapping, which I think will work really well, especially if you have an odd shaped piece of wood. And I picked up this thing here. So it's gonna be a little harder to cut it, but it's a lot thicker and I think it'll, I don't know, maybe be a little bit safer if it's a big piece of wood. I'm just gonna put on a small piece here and I'll use the galvanized strapping. So it's goes right in my little bolts there. You want to put the bolts through this way so that they're sticking out on the other side and you have that flush spot on the side you're turning. You don't want those sticking out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces up. I have just a little piece of wood here. I'm going to put this on there and then that way I can move it around. Let me get it cut and then we'll show you how I'm going to fasten it on here. Run it through the very end. Slide it in there, put a washer on the back side with a nut. I was going to get some wing nuts, but they're pretty small and I want to be able to crank this thing down, so I just went with regular I would get bolts, a few different sizes, you know, depending on your lathe. Mine has quite a bit of room back there, so I could probably just go with 1 or 2 sizes, but if you don't have a lot of room behind the headstock there, I would grab a couple different ones. So put this in there, you can move it to, I have it on this one here. I'm going to put the bolt in up here. I don't think it really matters. All right, it's all on there. I have the lathe turned down pretty slow. It's about 500 or 600 and running pretty good. Just make sure that the bolts aren't going to hit anything. Everything's good on the back side of it. They're on there nice and tight. So you can turn the center part of it here, and then you can move it anywhere you want. Let's just take a couple of cuts on it real quick and see how it works. A little bit high. So depending on what design you're trying to get, you can also take a pencil line here so you don't bust through. You know, you can figure out exactly where you want to be. Well, I probably need a bigger pencil. So you don't go outside of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this for the project for Friday's video. I'm going to figure out something to make with it and play around with it a little bit more so I kind of get it down. A couple little things. What I would do is differently is I would leave 4 of those. I would just cut out a groove right here and leave another solid piece here like I did on these spots. I would do another one. When I first started cutting on it, I went an inch just apart. You don't need to do that. It gets really flimsy, so I would definitely just do it the 2-inch, or you could probably even do maybe a 3-inch. There's a lot of, you don't have to go in the same groove, so I don't think it's going to matter that much, and you can make these straps a little bit longer if you needed to. I'd probably do 2.5, 3-inch slots, and probably not the center one. It's pretty beefy, you know, and small, but after you got past that, I would put another solid piece of the plywood right there, and then, you know, offset those two. Like I said, with this strapping material, if it's flat piece like this, you could use that other stuff, but if it's a odd shaped piece of wood, use this stuff, and it seems to be doing great. And then you can just move this anywhere you want. If I have a longer piece, I want to do a bigger piece, I'm going to need to slide my headstock down to the end. But I don't know, I'll play around with it. We'll do a project on Friday with it.